This was the day when we were all saying goodbye to her as she was leaving to go to America to chase her dreams of becoming that nurse. And sadly, just before she was about to graduate, literally, she was going to graduate on Sunday, her life was taken away from her early on this week and she was murdered by her roommate. If you knew Tammy and you grew up with her, family, friends, everyone knew that she was such a lovely girl. Like, Tammy was probably the sweetest person you've ever come across with. And anyone that did come across her, it was such a blessing for us to have encountered all those conversations and memories with her. If you go on her TikTok, she literally just spoke about nursing. And Tammy was the type of person that was so selfless. She wanted to get into nursing to help other people, nice things for everyone else. That was the type of girl that Tammy was, and she didn't deserve to be murdered and stabbed to death.
She posted, "I'm ready to graduate," just 5 days before her body was found. Elizabeth 𝐒𝐡𝐢𝐧𝐞, aka Tammy, was a nursing student, a rising TikTok creator, and a daughter full of dreams. Dreams that were shattered in an act of senseless violence. Today, we explore how a quiet conflict between roommates, centered around something as simple as cats, ended with a graduation gown that was never worn and a final TikTok that now feels like a farewell. Tammy wasn't chasing fame. She wasn't one of those influencers crafting drama or clout chasing for likes. She was just incredibly driven and focused. She knew exactly what she wanted from life and was determined to achieve it, no matter what it took. On TikTok, she shared her life as a nursing student in Houston. Textbooks covering her bed during late-night study sessions, short pep talks before clinicals, and a personality that made her feel like your bestie on the screen.
Here's some nursing school advice that nobody asked for as a graduating nursing student. Okay, this is actually something I wish someone told me, but start researching where you want to work when you graduate. Nursing school is going to go so fast. Like, it's going to go so fast. You're going to blink and you're going to be graduating. And you need to know where you want to apply. And you need to know what they require and all that stuff. So start researching as soon as you can. Preferably not the last semester. Be nice to your professors, because you're going to need them. Okay, be nice, be someone's favorite. Because not going to lie, professors have favorites, they do. And you're going to need them for letter of recommendations, advice, all that stuff. So be nice to them. Okay, volunteer to do everything in clinicals, like everything and anything. Obviously to your scope in it, but make sure you do everything. That's because you want to have like a good relationship with your nurse or your preceptor or the nurse manager, anyone. Like, you just want to make a good impression, because you never know, like, they might even just like tell you, hey, like, whenever you need a job, just apply, blah, blah. Like, you never know. So, and you also never know who your patient is. Like, you could be taking, I remember I had a patient who was a retired cardiothoracic surgeon, and he was like someone like out there, like, and he like complimented me. He was like, "You're a great student nurse." I was like, thanks. But yeah, like, just make a good impression at clinicals, because you just never know who's watching, you know? Also, like, try to be friends with the nursing students in the year above you or the seniors, because they will give you like all their resources. They'll let you in on everything. So lastly, sleep is the best medicine.
Her 30,000 plus followers didn't just watch, they rooted for her. Every post reflected her hustle. How I memorize anatomy terms. When caffeine becomes your whole personality. Made it to class on 3 hours of sleep. She made jokes about being broke, about passing out in scrubs, about celebrating the little wins, and somehow turned the grind of nursing school into something relatable and beautiful, especially for young Black women and first-generational daughters, from immigrant families trying to juggle culture, school, and identity all at once. Her final post radiated hope. She talked about graduation being just around the corner. She had that sparkle, like someone who had finally made it through the worst part of the storm. She teased a vacation. She mentioned moving out. She even said, "I'm finally starting to breathe again." Life was progressing, and she was trusting it. But no one, not her followers, not even her closest friends, could ever imagined the danger that was waiting just behind the walls of the same apartment she filmed her dreams in. April 21st, 2025. Tammy posted one last TikTok. She was smiling in her bedroom with the caption, "I can finally say it, I'm about to graduate." To her audience, it felt like the happy ending to a long, hard journey. Nursing school had nearly broken her more than once, but she made it. Just a few days to go. The countdown had begun. 7 days left, then 6, then 5. But behind the scenes, something wasn't right. Her friends noticed she'd become quieter. Her texts were shorter. The energy had shifted. Still, no one could have expected what would come next. On April 28th, just 5 days after that joyful post, Tammy was found dead in her apartment. And that countdown to graduation was suddenly frozen in time. She had just moved into a new place on Goforth Road in southeast Houston. It was close to campus and within her budget. Her roommate was a man named Chester Grant, 40 years old, someone she barely knew. It wasn't a friendship. It was just a living arrangement. Rent was expensive, and this was supposed to be temporary, just until she graduated. Her friends said she didn't talk much about him. There were no funny roommate stories, no real details. Just a name, just a presence. And sometimes, silence is the first warning. Not a scream, not a fight, just a lack of comfort. A quiet feeling that something's off. For Tammy, that silence would become deadly. She was just 23. Born in the UK to Nigerian parents, she carried many identities: British, Nigerian, and a first-generation college student. Her friends say she had a calming presence. She worked harder than anyone knew. It was tough. Clinicals, part-time jobs, and adjusting to a new country. But she kept going. She kept posting. Not for attention, but to stay grounded, to push herself, and to remind others that it was all worth it. Her dream was to work in pediatrics. She was already job hunting, already planning to move out, already saving for a place of her own. But she never made it. The apartment was quiet. Neighbors barely knew who lived there. Tammy had only been there a few weeks. Her lease was temporary, just until she graduated. Chester Grant kept to himself. Twice her age. Rarely seen. No shared meals, no bond. Just two strangers coexisting in one space. But things inside were tense. There were small arguments, mostly about the cats they shared. Tammy told friends it was stressful. She said Chester had become controlling over the cats, even lashing out when things didn't go his way. Her friends didn't think much of it. Just typical roommate tension. No one expected it to spiral into something dangerous. That tension was boiling. April 28th. The apartment went silent. Too silent. A friend noticed she hadn't responded all day. No texts. No calls. She had missed class, which wasn't like her. By 3:40 p.m., someone called for a welfare check. Houston police arrived. They knocked. No answer. They called out. Still nothing. So they forced their way in. Inside, Tammy was found on the kitchen floor, stabbed multiple times. Her body was only a few feet away from her roommate, Chester Grant, who was alive but bleeding from apparent self-inflicted wounds. The cats were there too, silent, watching. Paramedics rushed in. It was already too late for Tammy. Grant was taken to the hospital.
Police say the 23-year-old British woman was killed by her roommate last weekend. It happened inside an apartment on Goforth Street. That's near Cullen and Yellowstone Boulevard on Houston's south side. Our Orko Manna joins us from the Harris County Jail tonight with the latest from investigators. Orko?
It's been 1 week since this deadly stabbing, and while Houston police are still investigating, homicide detectives tell me that this all stemmed from an argument between the suspect and the victim about their cats. I'm also told the British nursing student would have graduated this weekend. It's a quiet Saturday at this apartment on Goforth Street on Houston's South Side, but just a week earlier on the afternoon of April 26th, Houston police say it was a bloody murder scene. HPD finding a 23-year-old woman in one of the units lying on the kitchen floor with multiple stab wounds. Homicide detectives identifying her as Elizabeth Tamalor Adunzi. Police say she was from England but was in nursing school here in Houston, set to graduate this weekend. Detectives telling me Adunzi's roommate, 40-year-old Chester Grant, stabbed her to death after the two got into an argument a few days earlier about the cats that they both kept in the unit. The conflict reportedly snowballed and led to the violent encounter. I'm told the two were relatively new roommates for about 2 months. Detectives say Grant tried to take his own life, stabbing himself around 6 times, including in the side of the neck. After a few days in the hospital, Grant appeared in probable cause court Saturday morning, now charged with murder. Grant is being held here at the jail on a $500,000 bond. He's expected to be back in court on Monday. Meanwhile, Houston police are still looking for surveillance video and doing witness interviews as they continue their investigation.
Detectives quickly ruled out a robbery. There was no forced entry. Nothing stolen. The violence had happened between the two people who lived there. The motive? Personal. Built up over weeks. And at the center of it all, a disagreement over cats. Tammy had tried to keep peace. She thought she could wait it out until graduation. She was almost there. Chester Grant was arrested 2 days later and charged with murder. The evidence, police said, was overwhelming. His bond was set at $500,000. As of now, he hasn't made a statement. No confession, just silence. The same silence that filled that apartment before everything fell apart. Tammy's TikTok is now a memorial. Her last video, once a symbol of joy, now feels like a farewell. Comments have poured in from strangers she inspired, from students who passed exams because of her study tips, from young women who saw themselves in her hustle. She had no idea how many lives she touched, how many people were rooting for her, how bright her light really was. Now that light is gone, and all that's left are the questions.
So I was just watching a story that happened recently, RIP to this young girl, but there was a 23-year-old black woman in Houston, Texas that was roommates with a 40-year-old man. And the 40-year-old man that was her roommate stabbed her multiple times. And reports are saying it was because of a disagreement with cats they had in an apartment. Now, this story is very odd to me because one, why is a 23-year-old woman roommates with a 40-year-old man? Then on top of that, they said they only been roommates for like 2 or 3 months. That makes it even more odd to me. A 23-year-old woman should not be roommates with some random 40-year-old man. Like, that just doesn't sit well with me, and it's weird. And RIP to her once again, but like a dispute over cats, I feel like something more had to have happened. It couldn't have been over cats. I just don't believe, I believe something else took place and that happened. 40-year-old man, 23-year-old woman. And and they said she was supposed to graduate, I think, was it May 4th from nursing school? It's just so sad. But yeah, I just have so many questions. So many questions. So many. Something's not right.
The heart of man is desperately wicked. The heart of man is desperately wicked. The heart of man is very, very desperately wicked. And this is such a sad situation to see where, someone whose parents, who's so loved by her community, who has left the UK to the US to chase a better education, was days away from graduating, and somebody just took a life like that. That is one of the most saddest stories I've actually seen. And my thoughts and prayers go out to her family, because no one should experience this kind of hurt. And we need to continue to keep our friends and families in prayers because the heart of man is desperately wicked. Tammy, may your soul rest in perfect peace. May your soul rest in perfect peace. I'm going to put her GoFundMe on my bio. If anyone can donate, please, it would go a long way. No one should experience this at all. No one, not your family. I wouldn't wish this on anyone. I just pray that during this difficult time, her family and her loved ones will find peace and the void that has been placed in their hearts will be filled with the blood of Jesus. In Jesus' name.
Tammy was deeply emotional after losing her very first patient. It was a heartbreaking moment for her as a student nurse. That experience made her realize that loss would be a part of her journey in this field, but it still hit her hard. It showed just how compassionate and caring she truly was. It's heartbreaking that her own life was cut short so suddenly. Let's honor her memory and keep her name alive. Please like, comment, and share this video.